Cleric, Deputy Sherlock.
Thank you, Cahir. Look, Minister, I just want to raise a very practical case with you. I spoke to my colleague, Senator Mark Wall, this morning, who informed me that he's aware of at least four home care workers in the Kildare South area who are coming up to retirement age, and the families who are being cared for contacted him to say that there has been a dramatic reduction in the number of hours that those families are receiving. And the question arises in this retention crisis and recruitment crisis as to why, if those carers wanted to continue in employment under the HSE, that they could not continue to give the care to those families that they are providing at present. There's a very arbitrary retirement age, and I think that needs to be looked at by the Minister, because if it's having such an impact for those families, and they are women, these are 4 women who are providing care for a long time and doing an excellent job, according to Mark Wall, Senator Mark Wall, why can they not continue to do so? And I think that's something that needs to be looked at. I appreciate the fact, fully appreciate the fact that the Minister has been able to secure up to 700 million plus for her department for this, for this budget line. But what I shared this view with my colleagues, is that why is it that we do find ourselves as a country having to go out to the world, to recruit 1,000 people to provide care in this day and age? And I think the reason for that is that the rates of pay are not competitive enough for people locally, I'd say locally, to want to be employed in the service. If you make the terms and conditions of employment competitive, and if you ensure that the wage rates are strong wage rates, you will entice more and more people locally into the service. And I think that's something that has to be addressed. And I think an ERO is the way to do this. And as has been said by Jed Nash, if it can be done for the childcare sector, I think it can be done for this sector as well. I am fearful that we are on this inexorable journey now towards 100% privatisation of home care services. And my fear is that for us in this House, where we can lobby and advocate for families, that there will come a time when that will no longer be the case. Because the person at the other end of the line in the HSE will no longer be doing that job, because that job will be made redundant. And the ability of individual TDs and public representatives to make cases for families for additional home care packages or hours will be rendered redundant, because it will be privatised. And that's the fear. The state always and ever played a vital role and was able to police and regulate the service and provide the resources to the families at the most local level. My fear, Minister, through the chair, is that we are reaching a point now where, if it becomes wholly privatised, that the ability of individual TDs to lobby on behalf of families will be rendered redundant. And we need to be very careful about that. We need to ensure that there is a state provision to act as a counterbalance to the privatisation of services. Because if I have to pick up the phone to a private entity to lobby on behalf of a family, the private entity won't care one jot who I am or what I represent or the mandate that I have. So I'd be just urge a word of caution in that regard. What we want is a state provision, state-regulated service, so that at least TDs across this House, whoever they may be, can at least advocate on behalf of their constituents. And I think the Commission on Care, in terms of its terms of reference, and I note the words of the Minister in respect of setting that up, that we need a statutory home care scheme. If we don't have a statutory home care scheme, the accountability mechanism it reduces dramatically. And I would say that we also need a national care strategy on this. And it's a legal entitlement to assessment which I'm hearing, and I beg your indulgence, is one of the provisions that will be looked at under the Commission on Care. But you also need a legal entitlement to provision. Thank you, Chair.